Hey y'all, I'm Aeon.
And I'm the Lioness.
And you're listening to Box number 512 podcast.
Grown Black Trans Woman Talk. Changing your world one conversation at a time.
The show begins now.
Let's get started. Time is of the essence. People will catch us as we come in. I'll be checking periodically on my Patreon. Hey, you all. Welcome to a Patreon only episode of Box Number 512 podcast, Grown Black Trans Women Talk, our summer book club edition. I am your co-host, Aeon.
Yes, and the book the book we're doing today is The Meaning of Mariah. Girl, I'm excited. So
Girl,
really bad.
Who is you? Who are you?
Oh, I'm the Lioness, girl. I'm the Lioness on the ones and twos, giving these niggas the blues. How y'all feeling? Sorry, girl. So for those of you listening in, the Lioness is on vacation and she is in Savannah. She left the beach earlier, and I'm just wanting to connect with you guys. I did not want to miss this opportunity to talk about the meaning of Mariah Carey in this wonderful book. So I am here, even though I'm not there for the visual, honey. I am engaged. So just to let you know, I love you guys, and let's get into this conversation. Bree, take it away.
So this is our last book for our summer book club. First, before we get started, I want to thank you all who have participated by either interacting with us when we have our scheduled discussions on our books, or people that are commenting, or people that are actually going back and listening to the episode. So thank you for supporting us. This was new for us, and we were very excited to do it. And I think it's been a bonding experience for me and my sis. And we're going to have fun tonight. So the book we did, The Meaning of Mariah, by Mariah Carey. Of course, this is a biography / autobiography of one of the most successful pop singers of our time. Definitely one of the voices of our generation, one of the greats of all time, Mariah Carey. And the book really gives an intimate look into her upbringing and really the foundational parts of her career. And if I had to sum the book up in one word, it's really a journey of Mariah finding her voice and really staying true to her authenticity in a complex and confusing world. I just finished the book this morning. I started it a couple of days ago. It was just such a great and amazing book, and it made me look at Mariah in a whole different light. Mariah Carey is somebody that I had already enjoyed as an artist. Definitely remember her during my childhood. Like, her songs have literally been the soundtrack to my life. Her first album was released probably when I was 2 years old, because she came out in 1990. And she's just somebody that I can remember her from beginning to now, and just to know this additional backstory of just the different things that she was going through. And because she writes her own songs, and just hearing the stories behind a lot of her biggest songs, to hear how the inspiration for them, it actually inspired me to go back to a couple of her albums and just listen again, because now I'm listening to it with a new depth to the material. And I just love that once she gets to the end of the book, she's finally at a place of peace. And really a theme throughout the book is a sense of security. Her longing and trying to find a sense of security, and because of the way that her life was set up, it caused her to look for security in the wrong places. And now she's finally at a place where she's safe and secure, and that she's able to give the love that she needed as a child. of course, we're going to go through our thematic breakdowns or things that just stuck out from us from the book, but I kind of wanted to give a top overview. Sis, did you want to come in? Did you have anything you wanted to say? General
Yes, I did. So this book really gave me the insight that I needed to feel like I really knew Mariah. So she talks about it in the book, but there are parts of her life that were essentially scripted. She wasn't able to be her full self. She wasn't able to share her full self with the world. And I feel like with this book, this is the book a lot of artists would be afraid to put out because it has such a vulnerability and it doesn't protect anyone. And as someone that has a story that is unique myself, I find myself, struggling with what do you share, what don't you share? So in the actual Audible book, she goes into these musical interludes. I know in the first section, we'll get into the sections later, but I just know that she is someone that is being extremely vulnerable. We know her as the legend. We know her as this wonderful, wonderful singer. But beyond that, beyond the publicist, beyond all of the extra, who is Mariah Carey? And so it's just very powerful to see. Oh, sorry, y'all. It's very powerful to see that.
It's all right, girl. It's all right. We're live on set, bitch. Live on set.
Yes, we are live. And it's just amazing to see that she was willing to be this honest and this open about her family and the traumas and the relationships and the abuse and the neglect and the emotional turmoil that she faced and the complicated relationship with her mom. It's just so rich and texturally and in what she really, really feels is her story. So yes, girl, it was wonderful and I couldn't sum it up better.
Yeah, so let's get to those themes. Like I said, we're not going to go a run through of the book because hopefully you all have read it, or if this is your first time listening to this special episode before reading it, our conversation will inspire you to read it. The first thing that obviously sticks out to me, it has a lot to do with the theme of her biracial upbringing. And it made me feel the type of way. As somebody that has dated a lot of biracial people, I always say that you can tell when I've dated a biracial person when they have a Black mom, right? Because it's just because the saying is that black women or just women of like a ethnic. Women of color of ethnicity or race or whatever, women usually tend to hold the culture. So when she was really trying to explain her relationship with her mom in terms of race and how her mom was really wayward, like I think that the fear that we have for like biracial kids or mixed kids that have like a white parent, and when you go into the society, oh, I'm colorblind and I don't see color, but it's like you clearly have this child that is biracial that may or may not read as Black, and they're going to have these racialized experiences, and to hear the fact that her father, but to a lesser extent because her father was not in the house. And her father, when he was around, there were instances where he connected her to other Black family members that she had in Harlem. But her mother kind of was just wayward about really pouring into her when it comes to really learning her racial identity and just the sense of loss. Feeling that she didn't belong. And from Mariah's perspective, kind of getting the sense that in addition to her mom just being jealous of her, that her mom, from youth, even up to the story she recounted towards the end of the book, her mom really didn't do anything to kind of acknowledge the blatant racism that was happening to Mariah, and it really impacted her when it comes to her not feeling safe, not having a voice for herself. I'm thinking of the specific story she recalled It was like a chapter about her hair and about how
Yes.
she was often unkempt, and her, like, she was talking about how when her mother woke up in the morning, her mother's hair just fell into place and it was perfectly coiffed, but her hair because it was tangly and it was like mixed girl hair. It was always matted. She was always unkempt, and it was kind of like this unspoken conversation. And I kind of feel like if you're a white parent having interracial kids, I kind of feel like it's your onus to make sure that you are culturally acclimating these children who clearly come from a different culture and require different needs in order to make it. Also, the fact that she went through blatant racism in her education, and she didn't feel safe to tell her mom about it, or she didn't feel like her mom would care or understand. And then the situation towards the end of the book, when she had her breakdown and her mom called the police on her. And she was just talking about how her mom like was peak white woman. And whenever there was a dispute, sometimes that she was the center of, her mom would just call the police and just like raise her hand and do like peak white woman. So it really made me think about the unique experiences of biracial kids, especially when they have a parent that refuses to acknowledge their privilege and also refuses to go above and beyond to acknowledge the race and the lived experience of their child, and to really be an ally for a child. You can really get the sense that Mariah felt left out there. Sis, did you have anything you want to say?
Yes. So I found the relationship, like you said, I found that relationship with her mother as a biracial child to be very, very problematic. I was very angry reading how disconnected her mother was from her Black experience, and how it very much was given, I don't see race. And here's why, and I think Mariah Carey's story really illustrates why not seeing race is an issue. So when you live in a world that gives you all of these extra things, and you're facing bullying at school, and you're facing, disrespect and whatever from people around you and the adults around you, and now you find yourself in a situation where you're trying to confide in your mother, and they're pretending like they don't see you. And not seeing race is not seeing your biracial child. And that relationship was so fraught for me that it was triggering, and I found myself having to put the book down just because of the comparisons and analogies to my own life in some ways. Just feeling like you had parents that just did not understand you. I also find it interesting because this is something that is a new thing online, where parents are seeking to educate themselves. So if you are particularly a white mother and you're providing a trying to nurture what is inevitably the world will see as a Black child, you do have that responsibility to educate yourself, to expose them culturally, to connect them to people. You don't pretend as if they're white, because then you put in that child this paradigm, this mentality, this mindset that there's a standard that they will never be able to reach. And so, like you said, sis, her relationship with her mother was very, very telling. And it just reeked of emotional abandonment and, just like I said, neglect. So yeah, that was a theme that stood out for me as well.
Yeah, and even going a little bit into the jealousy, like there was a moment,
let's talk about it.
It was a moment where she was, before, I guess she was a teenager or she was young, and she was singing like in the car with her mom, and her mom told her, "You will not. You wish you could sing.
You wish you were half the singer that I was.
Right.
You better hope one day you'll be half the singer that I am." Yeah.
Right. And then it was something towards the end of the book. I think when she was having her breakdown, or when she was when they tricked her to go to the spa, but really it kind of gave I got the impression it was like a 48-hour hold facility. And her mom was saying that I only love the sun. Mariah's never liked me. The only one that's loved me is my son. My daughters don't like me. Just like that jealousy, and it just like the fact that this for all intents and purposes in America, Mariah is a Black girl, no matter how much she passes. But to know that this Black biracial girl was in this close proximity to a white person that was her mother, that just had this much hate and toxicity to her, and just how how more dangerous that could have been. I just think it's really telling. I just think it's really telling. So going on to another thing. We got to talk about her marriage to Tommy Mottola. Now, I remember, of course, I was a kid, so I didn't know the extent, but I do remember she was married. I remember she had the wedding dress in the We Belong Together video. I remember that was a big thing. And I also remember it was like a shift. So it was like a little shift. Well, it kind of started with the Music Box album, because the Dream Lover song was kind of like a poppy hip hop R&B song. It was like a big shift when she came out with the Daydream album of Fantasy. But then when she came out with Honey, when it was like little ballads, or the ballads weren't like that, like Walt Disney, like 90s movie ballad, like the ballads were like sexy, and like her image was sexified. You could see Mama was like making a shift, like, I'm the girls. But to really hear the backstory, like behind their, like the way that in which she like talked about their marriage and characterized their marriage, like to me, it was no love story.
Girl, didn't it sound like jail?
Right. And like, I'm gonna be honest, like when I was reading, I'm like, did they have sex, or did they have, like, I don't even get the impression that like they had sex. But I do get how Mariah's story and how like systems of oppression set Mariah up to be partnered with somebody like him.
For sure. You know, that docileness that comes when you just want to blend in, when you want to minimize.
And had a therapist. She wanted to be protected. And the thing that was the most toxic about him, his controlling behavior, definitely a misogynist. She didn't say it, but clearly this man is a misogynist.
Boots.
His anti-Blackness, you know, because it was so toxic, it did make her feel, and it made her feel safe. And it was something that she was used to, but I don't know. It's just it's crazy how women, how in the most iconic part of her career, even though she's had a long iconic part of her career, but like in the beginning when we first got introduced to Mariah Carey and like those iconic things about those earlier parts of her career where, you know, we see this woman, she's a singer-songwriter, and she does all of these things that she didn't have control of anything, and she was miserable as hell. Like, to know that somebody has all this power, all of this influence, is amassing all of this wealth, but like they're literally trapped in a cage and their life is not their own. To me, it's just like a cautionary tale about the music industry. It's a cautionary tale just about being performative, and that what you see is not always the truth. And I'm glad she was really able to, like when she said that it wasn't until album number 3 that she realized that she was actually Mariah Carey, because he controlled her life in a way where she had no interaction with her fans. It was very much, you know, work during the week, and then on the weekends we go back to the suburbs, to this palatial mansion where I'm kept in a cage. And it, like, you would never know that from looking at the CD covers and the magazine covers and the interviews and the concerts. And so what were your thoughts about that?
Her life is the epitome of the gilded cage for me. To look at it from the outside, to look at the success, to look at the amount of people, like I remember early Mariah and what she did to the world. She struck like lightning in a way that, you know, is very hard to do now as an artist. And, you know, to be immediately compared to Whitney Houston, to be immediately thrust into this international superstardom, and to know behind the scenes that she was so controlled in her every day-to-day movements, like almost worse. You know, a lot of us think about, being a kid and having a curfew and but her life was like jail. And it was infantilizing, it was minimizing, and it was also a testament to the number, like you said. Thank you so much. It also is a testament to the number that life had worked on her, and how it had affected her mind. Because being a woman that is in a marriage, I could not imagine calling somebody my husband and not feeling like my home was my home, and not feeling like I could go and come when I please, and not feeling like I could have conversations with him about my feelings, or and ask to set up boundaries, or even ask for a day off, or to not have to do certain things. Like the idea that she was so cut off from the world that it's almost like, girl, you didn't have no TV, you didn't have, like, I don't know. I'm just trying to imagine what that house life looked like, and it was jail. I mean, just to even keep that level of control, you have to really break somebody's spirit and their psyche. But I think for Mariah, from what I've read, I believe that she came into the marriage already in that place of, I'll do anything for this fame, and willing to settle for a man that she obviously didn't love and who did not respect her enough to even try to love her for who she really was. It also was interesting. I felt like I picked up the tone of like her being this exotical, as you sometimes refer to, a phrase that you sometimes use. Like I feel like he also represented for her, like by the way they met, like a conquest, something that he had, right, that he had in his pocket. Like, I don't really care about your pleasure. I don't really care that you get anything out of this marriage other than, look what I got. Look at this shiny new trinket that I got before any of y'all could get. Look at her. And I made her my wife so that I can really control her career. It really sounded like a marriage of pure manipulation and convenience. And I just was disappointed to hear that, and to read that. And well, I did the Audible, so that's why I'm saying here. But yeah, it was traumatizing to read. And I was just like, Lord, I don't know how I would have react if I had engaged with somebody that just, in a weird way, wanted the world to appreciate them for my shine and my light and my gift. It was just crazy.
Yeah, that her description of that marriage, before, during, and after, it made me uncomfortable, bitch. I don't know if there was any physical violence. I don't know if she left that out of the book, but it was just really scary. And I just came from seeing the
even if there wasn't physical violence, there definitely was a culture of fear.
Right. And I just came from the Aretha Franklin Respect movie. And just to know that that's a constant theme for women, female femme artists, where these women are so talented. They're so like they have this self-ingenuity. They're like these forces of nature, but it's always some man like lurking around, like trying to contort their gift for their benefit and trying to control this femme being. And it's so right in the music industry. So it's just so many parallels. Something else that I wanted to discuss, which is kind of parallel to the conversation we had on our show about the Free Britney situation. And shout out to Britney, because I think a couple of days ago, her father was removed as conservator, as the conservator for as the like trustee or the manager for her conservatorship. But the part of the book where she's discussing the period, like after she left Columbia Records and like during the promotional period for the Glitter album soundtrack and movie, when she had a mental breakdown, and she wanted to rest. Like, she got to a point where she wanted to rest, and she was begging for help. And this was a point of the story where her mom and her oldest brother turned on her to try to get her committed. And I remember being young during this time, but I remember when it was publicized that Mariah had a breakdown, and it was kind of like the news people were kind of reveling in it, like the golden diva has finally cracked, and we're never going to hear from her again, and she's having these outbursts. And again, I think it speaks to the fact how when you are a celebrity, you become this thing, and you no longer become human. And the people around you, the people that are closest to you, the people that you end up doing the most for, is like they try to find your downfall so they can find the quickest way to incapacitate you, so they can like take money and further exploit you and further take advantage of you, without regard for your humanity, without regard that you had to survive so much trauma to get to where you are, which kind of made you, you're financially successful, but you're making poor personal choices. But they're overlooking that you need help, that you need you. She was saying how even through the 90s, she worked so much, and she was in an abusive marriage where she didn't even know like the cultural norms or the stuff that you did culturally in the 90s, because she didn't know the TV shows, she didn't know the movies, she knew her music and probably her contemporaries, but she wasn't in the spirit of the time, because she was Mariah Carey, the business, the brand, the franchise. And to know that the first moment that she cracked, the first moment that she slipped, that the people that, even though she had complex relationships with them, she was still willing to do anything for them. She bought and furnished a whole house for her mom, when, in my opinion, her mama didn't deserve shit. And her brother, who was violent to her, in the first time I slipped, you're gonna try to get me committed. You're gonna call the police on me and get me committed. And I just think of the parallels with Britney's breakdown, and how it was rational for her to have her breakdown, but the first moment she slips, now she's locked into this conservatorship for 13 plus years, and people are not trying to see the humanity in her. They're just trying to drug her up and continue to exploit her for perpetuity. So I like the fact that she was really able to unpack what was really going on and really speak to the things that she needed as Mariah the human. Did you have any thoughts on that, son?
Yes, let me tell you. So it is triggering as fuck, the idea for me that somebody can just make a choice. Like you say, the idea that after all that I've done, after the support that I am, after being this business, after you muling me out all this time, after you taking advantage of me, family, that the moment I begin to have a moment that makes that is inconvenient for you, or that may look a little divergent from what you expect from me, you immediately, the first instinct is to try, like you say, put me the fuck away. And as someone that is a trans person, who I am sure my parents thought was crazy at one point, one of my biggest fears was that, particularly before I really got the agency to like leave my parents' home, but like when I was in high school and I was really, really struggling with dysphoria and my angst, I really, really legitimately was afraid that somebody was going to try to put me away. And to this day, I carry that kind of feeling of like, oh girl, like the idea that you could have a moment and then you would lose control over your agency, your money, yourself, your person. And now this is already somebody that was in jail. That's what I'm gonna call that marriage. That marriage was jail. So this is already a woman that has been incarcerated. Okay. And the idea that's not enough. It's not like she's, she was doing whatever and was out in the streets being wild. And, according to celebrity breakdowns, Mariah's, if you even want to call anything that she had somewhat of a moment, it wasn't the moment that we've seen from other celebrities. But the idea that they still tried it is just like, oh no, ma'am. Oh fucking no, ma'am. I also, there's something in that part about her buying and furnishing a house for a parent that doesn't deserve it that makes me want to really just encourage people to, because I know for myself, you have to get to that place where I feel like you no longer feel beholden to support and take care of people or even indulge people that are mistreating you. Because ultimately you're going to be gagged in the end. And that just confirmed for me, like, luckily I feel like my relationship with my family is improved. But there are motherfuckers that for many years I was like, honey, if I ever get some money, if I ever get some success, you will not touch any of it. Like, you will not have any access. And I still have, a sibling who shall not be named that it's like, girl, if you don't come around, you won't get any of this pie either. And no shade, and this is the truth, being one of the more successful of my siblings, I'm like, y'all don't want it. And I promise you, if you think that if I ever get something the way you rooted against me, because we're gonna talk about the sibling conversation in a minute, bitch. But yeah, I it's just that really stuck out to me as a theme in the book. The idea that there is no support, there is no vulnerability. As soon as we think you're not profitable, as soon as we think that you might crack the fuck, have a moment where you might need to sit down or whatever, you're no longer worth it. And oh, we're gonna lock your ass away, girl. That really, really runs me up a wall.
Bitch, since you brought up the sibling thing, it just triggered me. Bitch, when she was talking about how her older sister tried to
pimp her.
Yes, bitch. I'm like, goddamn. Were you on crack, bitch?
Yes. It was giving crack.
Were you on crack, girl? Because she did shit that like crackheads do. You tried to drug me. Yeah. You tried to grooming me to be pimped out. Like, come on. Like, and it just leads me to think, like, for the oldest son and the middle, the daughter that's older, Mariah, to turn out the way they did, that lets me know that in addition to the turbulence of the marriage between the father and the mother, like some serious like neglect was going on.
Well, if one of Mariah's earliest memories was her seeing her parents in a domestic dispute, you can only imagine what those other kids saw because they were older. You know what I mean? Like, apparently Mariah only caught like the very tail end of the blow up that was that marriage in her, because she was born younger than her siblings. But her siblings, I think they caught the fever, baby. And because of that, I think that's why, she had that fucked up crackhead ass sister that tried to pimp her.
Yeah, but what conversation did you want to have about siblings?
Siblings. The fact that siblings, so I do believe that siblings are not necessarily your siblings, people who are your blood relatives. One thing that's said that I feel like can be toxic if used the wrong way is the idea of blood is thicker than water. I think that's bullshit. I think that allows people who call themselves your blood relative to feel entitled. I feel like people in a weird way, the idea that I have to tolerate more than I would tolerate from any other human from you because you're a sibling, because we happen to come out of a womb that was the same womb, or because we happen to be related through whatever way. The idea that people can treat you badly and then feel entitled for you to give them deference and to give them respect and to pay deference to them and to help them and assist them. She has siblings that have different various health issues, and like she's been really trying to be a support to these people. And the idea that there is no gratitude, the idea that there is no concern for her as a person is all manipulation, cons, and lies. And the moment you don't do what I want you to do, I'm going to take you down is a problem for me. And the sibling piece really affects me because I know what it is to have siblings that I just know it's never going to be what it should be. The difference is I don't have no money I'm lying. And I've also had that one of the same sibling reach out to me, and very much like a sibling that has been very, very negative towards me, reach out and asking for money or support or resources or whatever, and it's always a fucking no from me, because I don't give a damn who you are. Blood is not thicker than water. Relationships matters, and I fuck with those who fuck with me. I dance with the one I came with. I'm a girl that will choose a family, and my chosen relationships with my trans sisters, my chosen relationships with my homeboys, like my wonderful friend Sean, my marriage, and my family that I've met through marriage. I am content and sustained with very happy relationships. My late great trans mothers, like I am content with very happy relationships that aren't blood related. And so the sibling thing really just kind of really triggered me, because I'm like, oh, the audacity of her siblings for her not to really want to. I would beat their ass on sight if my siblings had done half of the shit that hers did to her. So the idea that she actually was trying to be loving to them and they just could never accept it just sent me.
Right. Yeah. Her siblings was trash. The only beautiful thing about her siblings was her relationship with her nephew, who she said was like the only family, like the only blood family besides her own children that she feels close to. So, who I think is a child of her sister. Another thing that I wanted to discuss was how her healing had to start with her body. And I think that was also linked to her desire to wanting to act. Like, now we know Mariah has like gradually gotten into acting. We saw her in Precious, and she works a lot with Lee Daniels. She's done other stuff with them. But in the book, she talks about how acting is, in addition to singing, just another way for her to express herself and to really get into her emotions. But during her marriage to Tommy Mottola, he heavily discouraged her acting, mainly because of control, because he didn't have the influence in the acting world that he did in the music world. And it stifled her creativity. And when he sent her to an acting coach, and the acting coach was really trying to work with her, it was difficult because Mariah really wasn't able to like emote through her body. And she really couldn't do that because she didn't feel secure, and she had so many people controlling her in her life. So it was nice to see over the course of the book how her passion and her desire for acting was directly linked to how she felt in her body, how she was able to move in her body, how she was able to be free in her body. She also has a part in the book where she talks about how she took dance classes from Debbie Allen, and that kind of helped her to get more into her body. And I just like the idea of getting more into your body through dance, through exercise. That's a personal journey that I'm on, like getting comfortable with how your body moves, being more expressive, being more emotive. And it's really healing. And I was happy that she was able to use that as a tool as she was gradually taking steps to reclaim her autonomy, because even though she's a great songwriter, she's one of the most prolific songwriters of our time, she could only express herself but so much through the lyrics and through the music. So I like how she highlighted that it was important for her to have multiple ways to express herself. Sister, did you have anything you wanted to say about that?
Yes. Feeling disassociation is a real thing. And I can relate to being a person that learned how to never communicate through my body my feelings, and the idea that when you grow up in an environment that is emotionally abusive or physically abusive, or in an environment where you don't feel really safe, you learn at a very young age to shut down your responses to stimulus being visual, because a lot of times you realize that for people that are emotional predators, or for people that are treating you a certain way, they want you to give them, they sometimes feed on the reaction. The reaction can make the argument worse. The fact that I see I'm hurting you can actually make me meaner, or the fact that, the fact that I feel like I got something over on you may make me more likely the next time to do you away. So then it makes sense when you've been in almost like a jail-like confined space, or an environment growing up where you couldn't really be open with your struggle, right? Like your mom couldn't relate to you being this Black girl. You know, you're in a world where your classmates are picking at you for being poor. They're picking at you for being biracial. They're picking at you for, whatever the reason. And you learn at a very young age to like shut your body down. So you may be hurting me, but it's not going to show on my face. Another thing that I never thought about was we had a trauma therapist on one of our previous episodes for you Patreon guys and gals and folk. And the therapist identified something that we don't talk about, that she was talking about, that she identified with me in my own story, which is fight, flight, or fawn. And I feel like there's a bit of fawning that people don't talk about, which is the idea that I'm not gonna show, or I'm gonna make my attacker feel more comfortable by pretending that this isn't hurting me, that this isn't bothering me. So it makes sense that when she was trying to get into acting, that at first her reactions, being vulnerable and in an uncomfortable place and having to emote, was difficult, because the first thing you learn to do is to control heavily your emotions and to suppress them and to not let them show up in your body. So that notion of like getting in contact with your body and connecting through your body is something that I feel like is a lifelong journey for those of us that have grown up in those kind of emotionally tense childhoods. And I'm glad that she was able to identify that when she got more comfortable in herself and she got more comfortable in her real life, that her acting was able to improve, or she was able to at least connect through her body with an emotion. Because there are times where I will even be alone and in my lonely place now, and will begin to feel an emotion and will immediately shut it down. Like, no, girl, we're not going to do that. No, we're not going to do that. But what's crazy is it manifests in another way. So yeah, I may not share that emotion, but that could lead to days and weeks in bed, or days and weeks in a disconnected place, disassociating from my body, trying not to feel that. So I love that she talked about that in her book, because I think that could be really healing for people.
Right. I also want to talk about her relationship with the Brat. I really enjoy the part of the book where she talked about creating the remix to Always Be My Baby. And that was the first time she met the Brat. That's when she met Escape, and they had all came up to her mansion in New York. And she said she really bonded with the Brat. And then I think in this part of the book, she was discussing how she really didn't have a lot of friends. She didn't have a lot of friends growing up. And especially when she became into the music industry, she really wasn't really allowed to have a lot of people that she could connect with. And that's heavily because most of the people that were around her, if it wasn't Tommy, it was people that were associated with him that were surveilling her and spying on her. So I really like the story when the Brat went to her closet and they saw her shoes, and then they had kind of ran off and went to go get French fries. And at first Mariah was scared, but the Brat was like, I don't know if it was before or when they were eating the fries, and the Brat was like, why are you living like this? Like, you fucking Mariah Carey. Like, they should be on your dime. You shouldn't be on their dime. And I'm glad that, and of course, that's a relationship that she still has today. People know that the Brat and Mariah are really close friends, but even when you're in a bad situation, sometimes it just takes that one person that you would never think you would be friends with, that you have that bond with, and that sees something in you that can just tell you that raw, honest truth. Like, you are that bitch, and like, you don't have to take this. And like, do you know who you are? And just that freedom and that adventure to just go on that journey with somebody. And I'm so happy that she was able to discuss that friendship in the book. And clearly that's a friendship that has endured, because they are still friends. And I like the theme in the book, how the people that got her through and the people that relied on were like Black femmes. And that was like a connection that she desperately needed, especially in childhood, because it's always the Black women that are going to come through and like get you together, or that are just going to be that support or that rock for you. So
shout out to Black women really fast. Just shout out to Black women for us just being able to be to have this level of realness that can ground people. I feel like a lot of Black women show up in their lives for a lot of people in that way, and we are the grounding force. We usually are the one that will say the uncomfortable thing, because we don't live a life where we have the comfort of being able to be of not asserting ourselves. And that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. And I'm glad that, like you said, that relationship with the brat helped her connect a little bit more to that Blackness, that Black woman within her that wasn't allowed to really be expressed. So yeah, shout out to the brat, shout out to those relationships. And like you said, and it is that extra little sparkle for me to know that it was a queer woman that had that impact as well.
Right. Right. And I think the last two things I want to talk about are like the ironies of Mariah Carey. So the first irony for me is the fact that she wrote all of these like amazing, like iconic love songs during like the first like era, or like for like the first triad of her career, but she didn't really like, at least from what she described in the book, she didn't discuss like having like a passion, like infatuation, until she like had her little short fling with Derek Jeter. So it just goes to show how somebody's talent can just be so enormous, or they're just such a tour de force that she just has such a great imagination to create these worlds and to create these things without having ever really experienced it up at that point. And I think that's just a testament to her artistry and her craft, and why she is who she is. And also the other irony is that Mariah Carey is now iconically known as the Queen of Christmas. I'm glad at the end of the book she kind of had like her second comeuppance, because she describes how All I Want for Christmas Is You finally hit #1 after 25 years of being released. And not only is it her 19th #1, it's made her the first artist to have like a #1 single in 4 consecutive decades. But to know that she was somebody that, one, didn't grow up rich or wealthy, two, barely celebrated Christmas, and three, she really hasn't had like a true, like, to know that she released such a iconic like holiday album, and is the reason why we had like people now, you have the option to release a holiday album if you want to. Like, she didn't really start feeling like the spirit of Christmas until she had her kids, like way after she released that album. To me, it just sends the message that even if you don't have it right now, it still doesn't mean that you can't dream, that you can't have faith, that you can't imagine that it will happen, and that anything is possible. And as long as you are a good person, as long as you have a good heart, as long as you're willing to do the work like Mariah has done and probably still is doing, that like your fairy tale can happen for you. So it just teaches me that to keep myself optimistic. Just because I don't have it doesn't mean that I can't long for it, or I can't envision it, or I can't cultivate the space for it, that when it does come, I'll be able to really bask in the feeling. Sis, what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I feel like you summed it up pretty good. I guess my hope, and this is the truth, my hope is that, because sometimes you wonder if when somebody writes a book like this, and this is, I'm sorry if I'm straying off topic, but sometimes when people write a book like this, you wonder if they've I don't know. I hope that this is going to be a catharsis for her and in her journey going forward. Because I feel like writing books like this can bring up a lot of stuff. And that's just something that ran across my mind. But to your point about Christmas, I can relate to Christmas not being my most fun holiday. I can relate to her talk about how there's this joy that she doesn't have. So I don't have that joy yet. And I hope that when I have children, I'm able to really enjoy the spirit of Christmas. I enjoy Christmas music because I'm able to associate the music with my early childhood, in which I sang in, choir, did the Governor's Carol Lighting Choir for South Carolina. And I remember singing on the steps of the State House and having an audition and go through multiple auditions to get my spot, and really feeling proud to be one of the children selected to sing in this mass choir. So I that gives me esteem. I also sang in my college choir, and we did carol lighting and things of that nature. So I can relate to Christmas in that way, but I know what it is to kind of be going through the motions and to feel like there's always some shit around the holidays. I'm one of those girls. It's always been some shit. I hate winter in general. I don't even like fall because usually, no shade, my prosperity when I was younger, it used to dry up with the leaves, baby. Like the summer would be the best time of my life. Coming out of the winter into the spring would be a great time, but going into winter, that fall and the winter transition will always just be like some shit. And so I can relate to the holidays just not being that girl. And I'm hoping, and this book did give me that inspiration that for hoping that my children will give me the spirit of Christmas that I don't have at the moment.
That's really honest, girl. But I'm glad that this book can be an example for that, because it's example for, like, I feel like as long as you cultivate it, it can happen.
Facts, big
it
facts.
Can happen. It might be 5 years from now, it might be 10 years from now, it might be 25 years from now, but like, I just believe when it's the right time for shit to happen, like it's going to happen. And I just like that. I just like that she's at peace. Oh, I got another story she talked about when she took her mama to the presidential election. And no, that's when her mama said that she hates her daughter. When her mama got drunk, she took her mama to like some politician event, this bipartisan politician event, and the president was there, and her mom got drunk and was cussing people out and was saying her mama was late. I don't know if her mom is still alive. I think she is.
She is. She's still alive. I think she don't deal with her, but I believe she's still alive.
Yeah, her mother was late. Like you have the nerve. Like you barely raised this girl, and you have girl, it's too much. But yeah, her mother was late. But yeah, I really, 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 really enjoyed this book. This has made me have like a whole deeper love for her, just a deeper respect for her, and I'm just happy that she's at peace. She's just at peace. Like she knows that she is Mariah Carey, and now she's at the point where she can bask and be. She's now a legacy artist. Like she will always be Mariah Carey. Nobody is taking it back from her, no matter how many young girls come up and get it faster.
Do you think that do you think that she cares about how this will affect her relationships with her family members? I know she's past that, but do you think that this book could bring up any problems for her with these people? Because it sounds to me like these are people that are waiting for a moment to embarrass her. And so,
no, and I say this, I think she's now, the impression I get from the book is that she set her life up in a way where she is going to survive either way. Like no matter what her family does, like she's still Mariah Carey. She's still Mariah Carey, and the people love her. Like we like, I don't think like it's nothing anybody that could say or they could spill that's going to make us not fuck with Mariah Carey. And her family is just going to have to be like, my question for her family is, all this time has passed, what the fuck have you done? And y'all are way older than her. Like, why don't y'all have careers? Why aren't y'all established? Like, why,
That part.
let this lady live her life. Like, this is somebody that, and we don't, unfortunately, we don't get this too much with our celebrities, where they're able to work through their demon. And for Mariah, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse. And the fact that she's able to work through her demons to get to the other side and find her peace, like, that's all we can ask for, especially for our Black celebrities. Because celebrity is not easy. It's not hard. Being a star is not hard because it's so demanding. And the fact that she still has her peace of mind and she's able to go and do music and tour when she wants to do it the way that she wants to do it, that's all you can ask for. Now she's at a point where she can actually take the time to sit and smell the roses.
Yes, and and also there's something to be said about creating your own oasis of happiness and not having your happiness depend on trying to convince other people to love you. So for that, I am eternally grateful for that lesson. And this journey that she took us on with this book was fierce, bitch. And I'm just so glad that she told her truth, because I think that's a testament to people too. A lot of times in this life, people will wait, or they will wait till they're 70 when everyone else they're talking about is dead to say what they gotta say, because they don't want to hurt feelings, or they don't want to upset the apple cart or paint a picture, or they're worried that the press will get messy. But at the end of the day, there's something to be said for being a grown-ass woman, and like you said, setting your life up in a way where you can tell your truth and feel okay telling it. Not many people feel that empowered. So it really is an act of courage. And a testament to how far she's come as a person, that she would literally live in a household where she had no voice and now be airing everyone out in her memoir. So
they're saying, bitch, come for me.
Basically,
bitch, you want to sue me? I've been sued, bitch. I have the lawyer on speed dial.
Well, yeah, and that's why I mentioned, like, do you think that they would try it? I'm pretty sure they will, but I don't know. But I have so much respect for her. Like, that's deep. Because even my own story, there are parts that I don't even know if I could say while the people that I'm talking about are still alive. So the idea that she is able to just do that and be like, yeah, fuck it, it is what it is, y'all, we just gonna roll.
I think you just have to get to the point where, like, some people are just going to be mad and there's nothing you can do about it.
Facts. But I mean, it's still a tremendous leap of faith and an act of courage. And, millions of dollars also help. Okay. That's, but, it's still difficult nonetheless.
So before we end it out, because we've hit our hour, what are your top 5 Mariah Carey songs?
My top 5 Mariah Carey songs are Vision of Love. Just because of its joy and its jubilance. Mm-hmm. I really liked Circles from her Emancipation of Mimi album. I have to add that because I know that feeling of running around in circles over someone, but not just someone, a situation, and falling into this cycle. And I just think that was such a beautifully sung song. And to be honest, the Emancipation of Mimi, that whole album is just like, just what it represented for me, for her as an artist. And also her pipes on that album, that's like, she really, because a lot of Mariah Carey singing these days, she relies very heavily on her head voice and her falsetto, which is beautiful, and I'm not complaining. But I can like a good belt, and she really belted on that album. You said top 5, so that's 2. It's so many. Oh dear Lord. I really liked Hero, just for what that represented in my own childhood. I believe that song was played at one or both, like my middle school, elementary, and I think, no, it might have been my middle school graduation, and then I think it was played again at my high school graduation. So shout out to Hero. Okay, so that's 3. Give me a love. I'm trying to think. What is that one?
Heartbreaker.
Heartbreaker, don't run them games on. Yeah, Heartbreaker. Yes. Yes. Because that to me was Miss Mariah. That was Miss Mariah for me. That really made me feel it in a very like sexually empowered way. That's the Mariah that gave me hope that there was something more beneath the surface than just her being a pretty voice. And that's when I feel like, even though there's been commentary on, oh, she's trying to be black now, but I appreciated that. I felt like she was stepping into her melanin in that moment. So that's dope. And then my last one, only because it's an earworm and I can't get out of my head. Get the fuck out.
Okay.
Why don't you get the fuck out? Yes, honey. Because that Mariah, that get the fuck out energy is what I feel like she brought in this book. That you get the fuck out. Just I don't want you in my life. I don't want you in my. We're not doing this no more. Just get the fuck out. And I just live for that energy. What about you, sis? What are your top 5 Mariah Carey songs?
This is gonna be hard for me because Mariah Carey is one of my like foundational staple girls.
Facts.
Can't Let Go. I love that song, especially the end when she hits that high note. Can't Let Go, Breakdown. To me, if I had to pick like her favorite song that she's done that I can listen to over and over again, is that song. And that's like peak Mariah, like blending hip hop and R&B. And it's just it deserved more than what it got. I feel like that should have been a number 1 song. It's just a fab song. Can't Let Go, Breakdown, Always Be My Baby. I picked that one because it's just like one of them like radio pop records that like anytime you hear it, it sounds fresh. It sounds good. Like anytime you hear it, like from the first time I heard it when I was a kid to now, it's just it sounds good. It's a feel good song. She sings down. Always Be My Baby has to be on the list. What's another song? I would have to say from the Emancipation of Me album, if I had to pick one song from that album, Stay the Night. Like that song, bitch. It not like it's like it not like that's how you like it. Just that whole album, like from beginning to end, girl. It was like I love that she had that moment where she was able to like come back and let the girls know that I'm that bitch.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like, I love a good comeback kid, honey. And she gagged the girls on Emancipation of Me.
She has a comeback. And then for my 5th one, oh God, it would have to be between. Okay, it's going to have to be a tie. It's going to be between Make It Happen, Make It Happen, Fantasy, and Underneath the Stars. So Make It Happen.
Oh, girl, how you gonna have a 3-way tie, bitch?
Well, it would have to be Make It Happen because Make It Happen makes me think of my early childhood. Like I remember that song constantly, and I like how like that's like the perfect blend of like pop song with like church harmonies. Like because that like to me, Make It Happen. It's the background that makes that song. Like the people.
Yes.
Like it's the background that makes that song. And Fantasy, I like Fantasy is one of them records like. The remix or the regular, the first time I heard that as a kid, I was like, bitch, this is the one. Like, just the first time, like, when you hear the original version, when you hear that, like, when she just
yes, ma'am.
Like, it like, when I hear it, it instantly takes me back to being a kid in the 90s. And the fact that it debuted at number 1, like, it makes sense, girl, because it was that. And then I like Underneath the Stars because that's a song from the album, and that song is just so pussy. It's just like when you was like the little boy running around with the towel on your head pretending that you were a girl. Like that was the song that was playing in the background that made you feel like the Connors.
Okay, bitch. That's funny. That's funny, the imagery you just gave.
Girl, you remember running around with this hair on your head when nobody was there and the music was playing, bitch.
Honey, I had a 82-inch bundle of fitted, I had an 82-inch bundle of fitted sheet around my head, girl. Bitch, I was the girl that would have the fitted sheet with the part at the end where it could wrinkle around, and I had it around my head, girl, and I would put a little scrunchie on the back and have a 82-inch pony. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but that was fun. If you have not read the book, The Meaning of Mariah, please go get it. It's such a good and satisfying read. Mariah, I don't know if you'll ever see this, but thank you for telling your story. Also, Michaela, Angela Davis, who helped write it with her. Thank you for sharing Mariah's story. We're just so happy that we have a legend that got over and came to the other side, and we are just able to enjoy you and love on you and celebrate your legacy. And this is why I love reading autobiographies of like singers and entertainers, because it makes you feel closer to them. I remember I read the autobiography of Aretha Franklin, and it made me feel so close to her. But if you haven't seen the Respect movie, you got to go see it, bitch. Jennifer Hudson did her motherfucking thing, bitch. Great movie.
I can't wait to see it, girl. You really have sold it now, so I can't wait till I go.
You gotta bring your tissues because you will be crying.
Oh, girl. I kind of, after the first documentary that came out on I'm already prepared for trauma, girl. So I think I'll be okay.
It will be good trauma. It'll because again, like the Respect movie is about it was really about how Aretha had to break away from her father, and ultimately actually had to break away from her first husband to really kind of like find her voice and do the music that ultimately made her successful when she came out with Respect. Like when she came out with the Respect record, like that was kind of like her like Mariah Carey butterfly moment. Like, this is the type of music I want to do. This is how I want to sound. This is how I want the music to sound. These are the musicians I want to work with. And when she did it her way, she became that girl. And it's all about trusting yourself and walking in your purpose.
Have you ever heard the book? I want to introduce, and this isn't necessarily a book club thing, guys, but while I was on this vacation, I was gifted a book from my dear, dear friend, Sean, and it was called Burn After Writing, and it's by Sharon Jones, and it's Welcome to the Book of You. And essentially, it's a dossier or your black book where you're able to write out things, and they have guided questions. And the book essentially is designed for you to do some introspective work and tell your truths and get beyond the lies. I know that we talked about getting beyond lies and unpacking the lies in one of our last recorded episodes at the the Women's Summit, at the Dolls Are Thriving Women's Summit that we had the pleasure of participating in. But this Burn After Writing book is so interesting. So you can burn it, I guess, if you want to. And because in the book you'll be, it's encouraging you to really think about yourself, and it's not all bad. So, like how some of the things that we talk about, like top 5 bands, top 5 albums, top 5 concerts, it just allows you to look at the lives of my friends and who I think has gotten it right. Who what am I jealous of? And you're supposed to write all these things out to really help you flush out who you are and where you are in the moment. And then if you choose to burn after writing, and the burning is supposed to be like an act of a purge for those people who are revealing truths about themselves. Because this book, if you handle it, if you fill it out properly, you will actually really, really be telling a lot about yourself. And ultimately, if you choose, you have the ability to purge those uncomfortable truths and the lies that you told, the things that you never revealed to anybody. You have the opportunity to purge it and burn it if you like. And I just think it's a wonderful book. And so it's called Burn After Writing by Sharon Jones. And I just feel like everybody should have this journey. And I want to thank my dear, dear friend, Sean Miles, for introducing me to this book, because I truly, truly feel like this will really, really help me. And it's a really dope experience. And the goal is for you to open up to pages, and it's not a book from beginning to end. It's not words in the book. It's you providing the narrative for your own life. If I could pick up a phone and right now and call one person living or dead, who would it be? And just making you think about certain things. So I just wanted to put that nugget out there. I think it's essentially like a little baby workbook, and it's sold at Target and other fine stores. So just, you guys check that out as well.
Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for bringing that to this conversation, honey. Because we have to write it out. We have to start believing in our dreams and just believing in ourselves, listening to ourselves, and trusting ourselves a little bit more. And once you remove those distractions, it becomes really easier to do. So thank you for sharing that, sis. So
it's my pleasure.
So thank you all for joining us for this very Patreon-only edition of our Summer Book Club. Thank you all for supporting the show. If you're watching this, that means you're a patron. So thank you for financially contributing to us. This means so much for us. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Please be safe. And you will hear us on the airwaves soon.
We love you guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Box number 512 podcast, Grown Black Trans Women Talk.
And don't forget to become a patron on the Box number 512 Patreon page, where we have all new exclusive content.
And also, don't forget to follow us on our social media, on our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook pages. And also, become a subscriber on our YouTube page. Until next time, bye.